Ethan Voss had never expected to feel so small among the towering spires of Sci-Fi. From the moment his shuttle landed, the alien world had seemed alive with color and sound. The sky shimmered with two suns that cast violet and gold reflections across the crystal-like mountains. Strange flying creatures, some shaped like ribbons, danced in the air as if the wind itself had taken shape. Ethan's job was simple. He was part of a small human delegation, sent to observe and establish friendly relations with the Zypheran people. But the closer he got to the palace, the more he realized how alien everything truly was. The palace itself seemed grown rather than built, with walls that glowed softly from within, pulsing like the heartbeat of the planet. As he approached, a group of Zephyrin guards bowed their long, luminous heads in greeting. Their skin shimmered like liquid metal, shifting colors with every subtle movement. Ethan, trained in diplomacy but still human, felt awkward. Hello, he said, waving slightly. One of the guards tilted its head and produced a soft, melodic hum that Ethan guessed was a formal acknowledgement. He was guided through a hall that seemed to stretch forever. The floors were smooth and reflective, like dark glass, and the walls were decorated with moving light patterns that told stories he could not understand. He kept his hands clasped behind his back, careful not to touch anything, though he could see the walls reacting faintly as he walked past. Finally, he was led into a large open garden. The air smelled sweet, almost like honey mixed with the fresh scent of rain. Strange plants with translucent leaves swayed even though there was no wind. Flowers opened and closed like tiny lanterns, casting a soft glow on everything around them. And there, standing at the center, was her, Princess Liara. She was unlike anyone Ethan had ever seen. Her skin shimmered with a soft, pearly light. Her hair, long and flowing, seemed to float as if it had a life of its own. But it was her eyes that stopped him cold. They were enormous, filled with a depth that made him feel like she could see straight into his thoughts. For a moment, she froze. Her hands lifted slightly, and she stepped back a little. Ethan blinked. Was he imagining it? She had looked at him, really looked, and then stopped as though something inside her had recognized him. The guards around her shifted nervously, but Liara's gaze did not waver. "Princess?" one of the advisors asked carefully, breaking the silence. Liara shook her head slowly, as if trying to clear her thoughts. I am fine," she said in a voice that was musical and light but carried authority. "Continue." Ethan swallowed. His training had never prepared him for an alien royal, who seemed to recognize him in some inexplicable way. He forced himself to bow politely. "It is an honor to meet you, Princess Liara," he said. Liara nodded, still watching him closely, though the frozen intensity had faded into a curious interest. Ethan noticed she made no move to retreat fully or look away. He had expected some distance, a polite acknowledgement, but her attention was almost personal. "Welcome to Zypheria," she said finally. "We hope your visit brings peace and understanding." Ethan smiled. "That is exactly what we hope for." The rest of the delegation gathered around him. Scientists, diplomats, and military advisors from Earth all tried to maintain their composure, but many glanced at Liara with awe. Ethan, however, felt a strange tension. He could not explain why her reaction unsettled him in a good way, why it seemed like more than just curiosity. The palace guide led them on a tour of the gardens. Ethan followed, keeping an eye on Liara. She moved with grace, each step deliberate and careful, her gaze occasionally flicking to him, as if checking that he was paying attention. Every now and then, she would tilt her head slightly, as if listening to something invisible, or reading a vibration in the air only she could detect. Ethan tried to follow the flow of the conversation, asking questions about the plants, the architecture, and Zyphera's culture, but he found himself distracted. Every now and then, his eyes would meet Liara's, and a shiver would run down his spine. He had met many people, even leaders, but he had never encountered someone who seemed to sense him in ways he could not understand. At one point, they reached a pond filled with floating, glowing orbs. The water was perfectly still, reflecting the twin suns above like liquid mirrors. Liara knelt beside the water, her fingers hovering just above the surface. Ethan noticed the water reacted to her touch, ripples spreading outward even before her fingers made contact. "These are the memory orbs," she explained softly. "They hold the history of our planet. One can see events long past, almost as if living them again." Ethan stepped closer, peering into the water. Tiny lights swirled, forming patterns and shapes that told stories. He could see Zyfera's forests as they had been centuries ago, alien cities rising and falling, and the faces of people long gone. He reached out, and for a moment, the water responded slightly to his presence as well. Liara watched him carefully, a faint smile on her lips. "You are more sensitive than most visitors," she said. "Not many can sense even a fraction of what these orbs hold." Ethan shrugged nervously. "I guess humans just notice things differently." "No," she replied. "There is something else about you. Something I have not seen in many generations." Ethan stopped, startled. "What do you mean?" Liara's gaze softened, but her intensity did not fade. "You carry a resonance, a connection with Zyfera, that few outsiders ever could. It is remarkable." Ethan laughed nervously, trying to hide his confusion. "I'm just a human. I don't know anything about resonance." Liara tilted her head. "That is what makes it unusual. Humans rarely have it. Most species cannot even feel it, yet it responds to you naturally." The rest of the delegation seemed oblivious to the conversation, chatting politely among themselves. Ethan, however, felt a strange mix of excitement and unease. Whatever she meant, it was clear he was not just another visitor. As the tour continued, Ethan noticed that Liara often glanced at him whenever they approached something new. When they passed through a grove of luminous trees, she stepped aside to let him touch the bark first. When they entered a hall filled with delicate sculptures, she gestured to him, inviting him to observe and interpret the patterns. It felt personal. And yet, Ethan could not understand why. After hours of walking through gardens, halls, and reflective pools, the delegation finally returned to the palace's central courtyard. Liara stood on a platform overlooking the city, the twin suns setting behind her. Her hair glowed in the twilight, and her eyes reflected both suns' light, giving her an almost ethereal presence. "You humans have traveled far to reach us," she said, addressing the group. "We hope that your stay brings friendship and mutual understanding." And her eyes flicked to Ethan for just a moment. "Perhaps discovery as well." And one. The delegation applauded politely, but Ethan's heart was pounding. That fleeting glance, that subtle recognition, it was impossible to ignore. He realized that something about him had caused Liara to stop in her tracks the moment she first saw him. He did not know why, but he sensed that whatever it was important. After the formalities, Ethan was escorted to his quarters. He tried to process the day's events. The sky outside his window shimmered with colors that no Earth sky had ever shown him, and the palace hummed with quiet energy. He kept replaying Liara's gaze in his mind, trying to understand the strange connection he felt. He sat on the edge of his bed, staring at the strange alien architecture. Finally, he whispered to himself, "Why did she stop? What did she see in me? Why?" For the first time since arriving on Zyfera, he realized that this visit might be more than diplomacy or observation. There was something deeper at play, something tied to the planet, to the princess, and perhaps to him. Little did he know, the frozen glance was only the beginning of a story that would change not only his life but the future of both humans and Zyferans forever. Ethan lay down that night, the twin suns dipping below the horizon, and for the first time, He felt a spark of anticipation he could not explain. Something extraordinary was coming, and he had a feeling he was already part of it. The next morning, Zyphera's twin suns rose slowly over the crystal mountains, casting long golden streaks across the palace. Ethan awoke feeling restless. The memory of Princess Liara's gaze from the previous day lingered in his mind. Something about it made him feel different. Not just noticed, but chosen, though he did not yet know why. He dressed in the standard human delegation uniform, simple yet formal, and made his way to the palace's council chamber. The hall was vast, with high ceilings and walls that shimmered with flowing light patterns. Zypheran advisors and scientists gathered, their shimmering skins reflecting sunlight in rainbow hues. The atmosphere was tense. Princess Liara was already present, standing beside a large holographic map projected into the air. Her presence filled the room with quiet authority, yet she seemed to be observing Ethan more than anyone else. "Ethan Voss," she said, her voice steady. "We have a mission that requires your—" Ethan blinked. "My abilities?" he asked, unsure whether she was speaking literally or figuratively. Liara nodded, walking over to him. "You sensed it yesterday, though you did not understand. There is a resonance within you. It is rare, almost unknown among other species. It allows you to interact with Zyphera's energy in ways others cannot." He swallowed. "Interact with energy?" "Yes," Liara said, her eyes meeting his. "There is an artifact hidden deep within our crystal caverns. It stabilizes the planet's core energy. If it falls into the wrong hands, it could destroy everything: cities, forests, even the oceans. We believe your presence will allow us to reach it safely." Ethan felt a mix of fear and excitement. He had trained for space exploration, diplomacy, and first contact scenarios, but he had never imagined being trusted to save an entire planet. I'll do my best," he said, trying to sound confident. Liara's lips curved into a small smile. "Your best will have to be more than enough. The rogue faction has already begun their attempt to steal the artifact. They are clever, and they will stop at nothing." The council explained the mission in more detail. The artifact, called the Heart of Zyphera, was hidden deep within the crystal caverns beneath the northern mountains. The caverns were dangerous, filled with natural hazards, and protected by complex energy fields that only someone with Ethan's resonance could navigate. "You will not be alone," Liara assured him. "I will accompany you, along with a small team of our elite guards. But you must understand, your role is critical. Only you can harmonize with the energy locks that guard the heart." Ethan nodded, feeling the weight of responsibility settle on his shoulders. He was no longer a mere observer. He was now part of Zyphera's fate. The team left the palace at midday. They traveled in sleek, hovering vehicles that glided silently over the crystal forests. Ethan watched the landscape pass by tall, crystalline trees, lakes that sparkled like diamonds, and mountains that shimmered with internal light. Everything felt alive, pulsing with energy. He could almost feel it under his skin, a faint vibration that seemed to respond to his heartbeat. Liara sat beside him in the vehicle, her calm presence oddly reassuring. For a moment, they rode in silence, listening to the hum of the craft and the soft wind. Then, she spoke. "You seem nervous," she observed. I guess I am," Ethan admitted. "I didn't expect to be trusted with something this important. What if I make a mistake?" Liara turned to him, her eyes steady. "You have a gift. You do not make mistakes when you trust yourself. The resonance is responding to you because you belong here, even if you do not yet understand why. The moment you doubt yourself is the moment you lose its guidance." Ethan considered her words. There was a strange comfort in them, but also a pressure he could not ignore. He had always believed humans were resourceful, clever, and adaptable. Now, he was beginning to see that those qualities might truly matter among the stars. By late afternoon, they reached the base of the northern mountains. The entrance to the caverns was a massive arch of crystal, glowing faintly with internal light. The air shimmered with energy, and Ethan felt a subtle pulse beneath his feet. "This is it," Liara said. "From here, only those attuned to the energy can enter safely. The others will not be able to pass." Ethan stepped forward. The crystal walls seemed to hum in response, tiny lights tracing along the grooves as if guiding him. He raised his hand, and the resonance within him responded instinctively. A faint glow spread across his palm, and a pathway of light opened ahead of him. The guards exchanged astonished glances, whispering to one another. Ethan realized that what Liara had said was true. He could interact with Zyfera's energy in a way no one else could. They entered the caverns carefully, the walls glittering with natural crystals. Stalactites and stalagmites sparkled in every direction, refracting light in dazzling patterns. The deeper they went, the more Ethan felt the resonance strengthen, a gentle hum that seemed to synchronize with his heartbeat. "This way," Liara instructed, leading them to a narrow passage that twisted like a spiral staircase. "The artifact lies at the center chamber, but the rogue faction is already inside. We must be swift." Ethan felt his pulse quicken. They were not just exploring, they were racing against time. Hours passed as they navigated the labyrinthine caverns. Occasionally, they encountered traps, energy barriers, shifting crystal walls, and deep chasms filled with luminescent liquid. Each time, Ethan's resonance allowed him to detect the safest path. The guards marveled at his abilities, whispering among themselves about the human's unexpected talent. At one point, they reached a chamber, filled with floating crystal shards, spinning slowly in midair. Ethan could sense the energy patterns they created, like a puzzle waiting to be solved. "Step carefully," Liara warned. "One wrong move could trigger the defense system." Ethan focused, closing his eyes for a moment. He let the resonance guide him, and step by step, they moved through the chamber safely. When they reached the other side, the guards let out quiet cheers, impressed by the human's skill. Ethan felt a small surge of pride, but remained focused. There was no time to celebrate yet. Finally, they reached the central chamber. The heart of Zyfera floated above a crystal pedestal, glowing with brilliant light. The room pulsed with energy, and Ethan could feel the planet itself reacting to the artifact. It was more beautiful than anything he had ever seen, but he also sensed the danger. "They are here," Liara whispered, pointing to a shadowy group emerging from the cavern entrance. The rogue faction had arrived, armed with alien weapons and devices designed to manipulate the artifact's energy. Ethan took a deep breath. This was the moment he had been preparing for. Liara and the guards engaged the intruders, their combat precise and swift. But Ethan knew the real challenge was not physical strength. It was the resonance, the ability to harmonize with the heart itself. He stepped forward, placing his hands on the pedestal. A surge of energy flowed into him, warm and powerful. The artifact responded instantly, its glow intensifying as if recognizing him. Ethan focused, allowing the energy to move through him, guiding him to stabilize the heart's field. The rogue faction attempted to interfere, but the energy deflected them harmlessly. Ethan realized that his human ingenuity, quick thinking, adaptability, and courage was as important as the resonance itself. He directed the energy with careful precision, closing the gaps that the intruders tried to exploit. Liara watched him closely, her expression a mixture of awe and relief. "You are extraordinary," she said, almost to herself. "I did not know it was possible. Not until now." The rogue faction, realizing their plan was failing, retreated into the shadows, leaving Ethan and the team victorious. The artifact's glow stabilized, and the caverns returned to their natural rhythm. Ethan stepped back, breathing heavily, but with a sense of triumph. He had faced a challenge unlike any other, and emerged successful not by force alone, but through connection, intuition, and courage. Liara approached, her eyes bright. "You have done more than I could have hoped," she said. "Humans, you are remarkable." Ethan smiled, feeling a deep sense of belonging. For the first time, he understood why she had stopped when she first saw him. The resonance had chosen him, but it was his humanity, his heart, his mind, and his courage that made him worthy of the task. As they left the caverns, Ethan realized something else. The mission was only the beginning. There were still mysteries to uncover, threats to face, and a connection between humans and Xiferans that could change the fate of both species forever. And for the first time, he felt that being human in the vast universe was not a limitation, it was a strength. The calm of the morning after their victory in the caverns felt almost unreal. Ethan Voss stood on the balcony of the palace guest quarters, looking out over Zyfera's sparkling crystal forests. The twin suns bathed the land in warm light, making the entire planet glow as if it were alive. Despite the serene view, Ethan could not shake a sense of anticipation. Yesterday, he had stabilized the heart of Zyfera, saving the planet from potential disaster. Yet, something about Princess Liara's behavior still puzzled him. Why had she stopped cold the first time she saw him? Why had she seemed to recognize him in a way no one else could? He had questions, and he hoped Liara might answer them today. Liara approached quietly, her soft footsteps making no sound on the balcony's smooth floor. "You're thinking too much," she said lightly, though there was a seriousness in her eyes. "Your mind races faster than your heart sometimes. That can be dangerous." Ethan smiled nervously. "Maybe, but I can't help it. I need to understand, why did you react that way when you first saw me? I feel like there's something important I'm missing." Liara studied him, her eyes shimmering in the morning light. "There is something important. Something you were born with, that even you do not understand yet." Ethan's curiosity sharpened. "Born with? You mean, like, a gift?" "Yes," Liara said. "But it is more than a gift. It is a connection. Something that ties you not only to Zyfera, but to our planet's history, to our people, and to the artifact you just stabilized." Ethan frowned. "I don't understand." Liara gestured toward the distant mountains, the ones surrounding the northern caverns. Long ago, Zyfera's ancestors recorded a prophecy. It spoke of a dual-born soul, a being from another world who shares a resonance with our royal line. This being would appear during a time of great challenge, capable of harmonizing with our planet's energy in ways no one else could. When I first saw you, I sensed that resonance immediately. Ethan felt a chill run down his spine. "You mean me? I'm that person?" Liara nodded, her voice steady but filled with awe. "Yes, your genetic structure, your energy. It aligns with ours. That is why you could stabilize the heart so easily, while others could not. That is why I froze when I first saw you. The resonance is ancient, rare, and powerful." Ethan struggled to process the revelation. He had always thought humans were ordinary, clever, but fragile in the vast universe. And yet, here he was, the key to saving a planet, chosen for a reason that transcended species. So, all this time, humans could actually be special? Liara smiled faintly. "I have always believed humans have untapped potential. Your creativity, your courage, your ability to adapt, it is extraordinary. The resonance recognizes those qualities, not just your biology." Ethan felt a mixture of pride and humility. "I never thought of myself that way," he admitted. "I just try to do my best." Liara's gaze softened. "And that is why the resonance responded to you. It does not react to arrogance or pride. It responds to heart, courage, and understanding. You have all three. After their conversation, Liara led Ethan to the palace archives, a grand chamber filled with floating holographic records and glowing crystal tablets. The room smelled faintly of ozone and flowers, a combination that made Ethan feel alert and curious. This is where we keep our history, Liara explained. Much of it is preserved through energy records, not just written words. Here, you can learn about the prophecy in detail and understand your role more clearly. Ethan followed her, fascinated by the floating records. Some displayed moving images of Zyphera's ancient cities, while others showed the royal line's ancestors performing rituals with energy similar to that in the heart. Each record pulsed with faint light, reacting slightly to Ethan's presence. He stopped in front of a large tablet depicting an alien figure, its hands raised above a glowing sphere. "That looks familiar," he muttered. Liara nodded. "That is the dual-born soul from centuries ago. Your energy matches this record more closely than any other human who has ever visited Zyphera. It is why you are able to connect with the artifact. You are part of the continuation of this line." Ethan studied the hologram, feeling a mixture of awe and responsibility. "So, this isn't just about the artifact or saving the planet. It's bigger than that. It's destiny." "Destiny is a heavy word," Liara said softly. "But yes, you have a role that goes beyond ordinary duty. You have the potential to guide, protect, and unite." Ethan nodded slowly. "I think I understand. But how do I know what to do next?" Liara's eyes sparkled. "That is why you are here with me. You will learn, step by step. But first, you must understand the connection fully. Come." She led him to a quiet chamber, where a large crystal orb floated in the center. Its surface rippled with light, and Ethan could feel a faint vibration through the floor. Liara gestured toward it. "This orb holds a memory of the dual-born soul from long ago," she said. "It will allow you to experience their life, their decisions, and the challenges they faced. You must learn from them to understand how to use your resonance wisely." Ethan stepped closer, placing his hands above the orb. A sudden warmth flowed through him, and he gasped as his mind filled with images and sensations. He saw a human-like figure, though slightly different, standing in the same caverns he had navigated yesterday. He watched as the figure faced challenges similar to what he had encountered, feeling the fear, hope, and determination that guided every step. He realized the experience was more than observation, it was connection. Every choice, every instinct, every act of courage flowed through him as if it were part of his own memory. He understood why the previous dual-born soul had succeeded. Not because of strength or technology, but because of heart, intelligence, and courage. When he withdrew his hands, Ethan's breath came in short gasps. "It's not just the resonance. It's how I choose to act, how I think, how I care." Liara nodded approvingly. "Exactly. That is why the artifact responded to you so quickly. You acted with courage and understanding, and your heart was open to the planet's energy. Others would have failed because they lacked that connection." Ethan felt a deep sense of purpose settling over him. For the first time, he saw his humanity as a strength, not a limitation. The qualities that humans often underestimated, creativity, empathy, courage, and adaptability, were precisely what made them capable of extraordinary things. As the day passed, Liara shared more of Zyphera's history. Ethan learned about their wars, their discoveries, and their ancient struggles to balance the planet's energy. He realized that their civilization had relied on the dual-born soul only in times of crisis, and the human's potential had long been underestimated. "You are proof that humans are not ordinary," Liara said at one point. "Your presence here confirms what I have long suspected, that there is untapped strength in your species, waiting to be recognized. Well, Ethan smiled. I guess it just takes the right situation to show it. Sometimes it takes more than a situation, Liara replied softly. It takes a bond, a connection between people, between species, and between the planet and its guardians. That bond chose you. The two of them walked through the palace gardens again as the sun began to set. Ethan noticed how Liara observed the world in subtle ways, how she sensed energy shifts in the plants, how she read the vibrations in the air, how she noticed the faintest movement in the leaves. And yet, she also noticed him, constantly aware of his thoughts and reactions, guiding him gently without overwhelming him. Ethan realized that he had grown in just a day. He had faced danger, stabilized an artifact, and discovered a purpose far beyond what he had imagined. But most importantly, he had begun to understand the unique power of humans, the ability to act with courage, reason, and heart, even in the most alien of circumstances. That night, Ethan sat beneath the twin suns, now hidden behind the horizon, as the skies filled with a gentle glow from Zyfera's crystal forests. Liara joined him silently, sitting beside him on a smooth, reflective platform. You have done more than survive here, she said. You have learned, adapted, and proved your value. Not just to me, but to Zyfera itself. Ethan looked at her. And the resonance. It's real. I feel it. I feel connected. To the planet. To you. To the artifact. Liara nodded. And you will feel it even more as we face the challenges ahead. There are still threats, both known and unknown. But now, you are ready. You understand why you are here, and what you are capable of. Ethan felt a quiet determination rise within him. Then I'm ready. Whatever comes next, I will do my best. For Zyfera, for humanity, and for this connection we've discovered. Liara smiled faintly, her eyes glowing softly in the moonlight. Good. That is exactly what the prophecy required. Courage, heart, and understanding. You are not just a visitor here, Ethan. You are a part of Zyfera now, and your journey has only just begun. As they sat together, watching the first stars appear in Zyfera's sky, Ethan felt a deep sense of belonging. For the first time, he truly understood what it meant to be human in a universe full of wonder. That even in the vast unknown, humans could shine, not with brute strength, but with courage, intelligence, and heart. And in that moment, he knew that the frozen glance from Princess Liara was only the beginning. A much larger story was unfolding, one that would test their courage, their wisdom, and the remarkable bond between their worlds. The early morning on Zyfera felt electric. The twin suns rose slowly over the crystal forests, reflecting off the mountains in a brilliant array of light. Ethan Voss stood on a high terrace of the palace, watching as the city began to stir. His mind was sharp, alert, and focused. Yesterday's revelations about his resonance and the dual-born soul had settled in, giving him a sense of purpose he had never felt before. Princess Liara approached him silently, her long hair glowing faintly in the morning light. Ethan, she said softly, we have received word. The rogue faction has regrouped and is preparing another attempt to take the heart of Zyfera. This time, they intend to strike directly at the palace. Ethan's jaw tightened. We can't let them succeed, not after all we've done. Liara nodded. I agree. But this time, it will be more dangerous. The faction has learned from their first failure. They know you were able to harmonize with the artifact. They will try to stop you by any means necessary. Ethan took a deep breath. Then, we need a plan, one that uses everything we know. Our strength, our strategy, and my resonance. Liara's eyes softened with a faint smile. I knew you would say that. Your courage inspires not only me, but those around you. That is what makes humans remarkable, Ethan. You face the unknown without fear, and you adapt. By mid-morning, the palace alarms began to ring softly, a signal that the rogue faction was approaching. Ethan, Liara, and the elite guards assembled in the strategic command hall, a circular room with holographic displays floating above a glowing crystal table. Maps of the city, energy flows, and security pathways were projected in light, shifting as the team analyzed the situation. Ethan, Liara said, pointing to a section of the holographic display. This is where the faction is likely to enter. They will split into two groups, one to distract the guards, another to breach the central chamber. Ethan studied the projections carefully. If we anticipate their moves, we can use the palace's energy systems to slow them down. I can synchronize with the walls and floors, creating barriers where they least expect it. It won't stop them completely, but it will give us time. The guards looked skeptical. You mean a human can manipulate the palace itself? One of them asked. Ethan shrugged, trying to hide his own excitement. I've already harmonized with one artifact. This palace is built on similar energy. I think I can do it if we coordinate carefully. Liara placed a hand on his shoulder. Then, do it. Lead them. Your ingenuity will be the key. The rogue faction attacked just before noon. Dark shapes moved swiftly across the city, their weapons glowing faintly with alien energy. The palace guards rushed to intercept them, but Ethan moved calmly to the strategic points Liara had indicated. He focused, letting his resonance flow through the palace's energy systems. Crystal walls hummed, and subtle shifts in the floors and corridors created temporary barriers that forced the intruders into predictable paths. The rogue faction paused, confused by the sudden changes in the environment. Ethan directed the flow carefully, keeping his mind clear. Each barrier, each shift, was designed to slow the invaders while keeping civilians safe. He felt the pulse of the palace responding to his movements, an extension of his own abilities. Liara fought beside the guards, her agility and precision extraordinary. She moved with grace, neutralizing threats while protecting key points in the palace. Every now and then, she glanced at Ethan, her expression a mixture of pride and amazement. Despite the careful planning, the rogue faction was persistent. They adapted quickly, breaking through minor barriers and moving toward the central chamber, where the heart of Scifi rested. Ethan realized they could not rely on force alone. They needed strategy, creativity, and speed. He scanned the hallways and found an idea. Using the palace's energy, he created illusions of movement light patterns that mimicked guards, traps, and barriers. The intruders hesitated, unsure which paths were real. This gave the guards an opportunity to strike with precision, reducing casualties and slowing the faction's advance. Ethan smiled faintly. Not bad for a human, Liara whispered as she passed by, her eyes sparkling. He laughed quietly. Thanks. I guess humans do have their moments. The battle intensified as the faction split, one group moving toward the artifact, the other engaging the palace guards directly. Ethan directed the energy flow to the central chamber, creating a protective barrier that allowed only those attuned to the resonance to pass. When the faction leader, a tall, armored figure wielding a powerful energy staff, tried to breach the chamber, the resonance recognized the threat and locked the barrier. The leader's weapon struck the invisible wall harmlessly, sparking in frustration. Ethan focused even harder, channeling the artifact's energy through the palace. The barrier expanded, guiding the intruders away from the heart, while the guards worked to subdue them. He realized that his human creativity, seeing solutions others would not, was just as important as his resonance. After a tense hour, the rogue faction began to retreat. They had underestimated the coordination of humans and Scifians working together, and they could not overcome the combined strategies and the resonance's power. Ethan allowed the palace's energy systems to return to normal. The heart of Zyfera glowed steadily, stable and secure. Guards began securing the intruders, and civilians emerged from hidden safe zones, cheering quietly for their protectors. Liara approached Ethan, her expression radiant. "You have done it," she said. "Not through strength alone, but through intelligence, courage, and connection. This is why humans are extraordinary. You see solutions that others cannot. You adapt, and you act with heart." Ethan felt a surge of pride, tempered by humility. "I just did what I could. The palace, the guards, you, everyone helped. I couldn't have done it alone." Liara nodded. "No, but your presence was the difference. You are not just a human visitor, Ethan. You are a bridge between our worlds. A reminder that humanity's ingenuity, courage, and empathy matter, even among the stars." In the quiet that followed the battle, Ethan and Liara walked through the palace gardens again. The twin suns had begun to set, casting long shadows and bathing the crystal trees in warm light. "You proved something important today," Liara said. "Not just to Zyfera, but to yourself. Humans are capable of great things when they trust themselves and act with heart. That is what makes you worthy of the resonance." Ethan smiled faintly. "I think I understand now. It's not just the power or the gift, it's what you do with it. The choices you make, the courage you show. That's what matters." Liara's eyes glimmered. "Exactly. And there will be more challenges ahead. But now, you know that your humanity is a strength, not a weakness. You are proof that humans can rise to extraordinary heights." Ethan felt a quiet determination settle in his chest. "Then, whatever comes next, I'll be ready. Not just for me, or for humans, but for Zyfera. And for you." Liara smiled faintly, touched by the words. "Good. That is all I could hope for. Together, we will face the challenges ahead and protect this world." That night, Ethan sat quietly beneath Zyfera's twin moons. The crystal forests glimmered faintly, casting reflections like stars across the ground. He thought about the battle, about the rogue faction, and about the power of humans working alongside Zyferans. He realized something profound. Humanity's greatest strength was not in weapons or technology alone, but in creativity, courage, empathy, and the ability to connect. Those qualities had saved the heart of Zyfera. Those qualities had earned him a place beside Princess Liara. And in that quiet moment, Ethan understood that the story was far from over. More challenges awaited, more mysteries to uncover, and more opportunities to show what humans were truly capable of. For the first time, he felt not just like a visitor in this alien world, but like a protector, a friend, and a bridge between species. He knew that whatever came next, he would face it with courage, heart, and the unshakable belief that humanity could shine among the stars. And as Zyfera's twin moons rose higher, casting gentle light across the crystal landscape, Ethan smiled. The frozen glance that had started this journey was only the beginning, the real adventure, one that would test every skill, every choice, and every ounce of courage was just beginning. The morning sun rose over Zyfera, spilling golden light across the crystal forests and shimmering mountains. The twin suns reflected off the palace, bathing it in a warm glow that made the city sparkle like a jewel. Ethan Voss stood on the balcony once again, feeling a quiet sense of triumph. The rogue faction had been defeated. The heart of Zyfera was safe, and the resonance within him felt steady, balanced, and strong. But despite the peace, Ethan knew this was not the end. There were still mysteries to uncover, still challenges to face, and still bridges to build between humans and Zyferans. Today, however, was for reflection, for recognition, and for new beginnings. Princess Liara approached, her presence calm and radiant. She wore her ceremonial attire, flowing robes of shimmering light, and a subtle crown that glimmered like crystal. Yet even in her regal appearance, her attention remained focused on Ethan. "You have done more than stabilize an artifact, Ethan," she said softly, her eyes bright with pride. "You have shown Zyfera what humans can accomplish through courage, intelligence, and heart. Your actions today will be remembered for generations." Ethan smiled humbly. "I only did what I could. I didn't do it alone. The palace, the guards, you, everyone helped. I just tried to do my part." Liara shook her head gently. "No. It was your ingenuity, your understanding, and your courage that tipped the scales. Zyfera has long relied on energy, technology, and tradition. But today, humans showed us something different. Creativity, adaptability, and heart. That is what makes your species extraordinary." Ethan felt a warmth in his chest. For so long, he had wondered what humans were capable of in the vast universe. Now, he knew. The palace held a ceremony to honor those who had defended Zyfera. Citizens of the city gathered in the central plaza, their luminous forms shimmering with excitement. The elite guards and advisors stood solemnly, while Ethan and Liara took the central stage. Liara addressed the crowd first, her voice musical yet firm. "Today, we celebrate not only the protection of the heart of Zyfera, but also the unity of our worlds. Humans came to our planet as strangers, yet their courage and wisdom have saved us. Let this be a reminder that strength comes not only from power, but from heart, intelligence, and cooperation." The crowd murmured in agreement, and a wave of admiration for the humans swept through the city. Many Zyferans had never encountered beings like humans, creatures without natural energy manipulation or advanced crystalline physiology, but capable of insight, creativity, and bravery. Ethan stepped forward, feeling a strange mix of pride and humility. "I am honored to be here," he said simply. "But the truth is, humans are not perfect. We make mistakes, we have limits, but we also have courage, hope, and the ability to think in ways that others might not. If humans can show this to Zyfera, perhaps we can do it anywhere. Together, we can face challenges bigger than any one species." Liara smiled at him, clearly moved by his words. "Wise words from a human," she said. "You speak not as a visitor, but as a partner, a friend, and a guardian." After the ceremony, Ethan and Liara returned to the gardens. The crystal trees swayed gently in a light breeze, their glow soft and soothing. Ethan felt a sense of calm he had not felt since arriving on Zyfera. He realized that the planet, the princess, and the people had become more than just a mission, they had become a part of him. "You have proven something important, Ethan," Liara said quietly. "Humans are not ordinary. Your courage, creativity, and heart have shown us that your species has a role to play among the stars. You have earned a place here, not just beside me, but in Zyfera's story." Ethan looked out over the forest, feeling the pulse of the planet through the ground beneath him. "I never imagined that humans could be seen this way. We are so small compared to the universe, but maybe that's why we can do extraordinary things. We have to think, adapt, and care. That makes us special." Liara nodded, placing a hand on his shoulder. "Exactly. And now, with the heart safe and the rogue faction defeated, we can focus on building a new era, one where humans and Zyferans work together, learn from each other, and protect this world and others." Ethan's heart lifted. He realized that their journey was not just about an artifact or a prophecy. It was about cooperation, understanding, and the power of humanity to shine in unexpected ways. That evening, Ethan and Liara walked through the city as it celebrated. Citizens laughed, played, and danced in the streets, their glowing forms creating a dazzling spectacle. Children, curious and bright, approached Ethan, fascinated by his human form and strange gestures. He smiled and spoke to them, telling stories of Earth in simple words they could understand. Liara watched him, clearly proud. "You connect with them naturally," she said. "That is something many Xiferans struggle with. Humans have a way of reaching hearts that technology cannot match." Ethan laughed softly. "I guess that's part of our strength. We have to find other ways to survive and thrive, so we learn to understand each other. Maybe that's why the Resonance chose me. It knew humans could bridge worlds." Liara nodded. "Perhaps. And now, the world knows it too." In the days that followed, humans began to participate more actively in Xiferra's governance and exploration. Scientists shared knowledge of Earth's technology, while engineers collaborated to enhance Xiferra's energy systems. Ethan worked closely with Liara and the Palace team, guiding them on strategy, diplomacy, and problem-solving techniques unique to humans. During this time, Ethan also learned more about Xiferra's history, culture, and philosophy. He realized that while their technology was advanced, humans brought something else entirely: imagination, adaptability, and a willingness to take risks for the greater good. One evening, Ethan and Liara stood atop a high tower, watching the twin suns set over the horizon. The sky glowed with shades of violet, gold, and pink, reflecting across the crystalline forests below. "You have changed more than this city, Ethan," Liara said softly. "You have changed how we see the universe. You have reminded us that courage, heart, and understanding matter as much as strength or technology. You are proof that humans can rise to greatness." Ethan smiled, feeling a deep sense of fulfillment. "And you've reminded me that humans are stronger than we often believe. Maybe the universe is bigger than we know, but that doesn't mean we're powerless. We can make a difference if we act wisely, creatively, and with heart." Liara reached out, taking his hand gently. "Together, we can ensure a future where humans and Xiferans are allies, friends, and protectors of not just one world, but many. Your journey here is only the beginning, Ethan. There is much more to do." Ethan nodded. "Then let's do it. Whatever comes next, we'll face it together." The next months were filled with collaboration, learning, and preparation for future challenges. Humans helped Xiferra develop new technologies that were safe and efficient, while Xiferans shared knowledge of energy systems, exploration techniques, and planetary management. Together, they worked to create a world where both species could thrive, blending human ingenuity with alien experience. Ethan often reflected on how far he had come. From a confused visitor to a trusted guardian, he had discovered not only the strength of humans, but the importance of cooperation, courage, and heart. The frozen glance from Princess Liara, once a mystery, now made perfect sense. It was recognition not just of his resonance, but of the human spirit he carried. One evening, as the twin moons rose over Xiferra, Ethan and Liara stood together in the palace gardens. The planet was calm, glowing softly with life, its energy balanced and secure. "You've done more than anyone could have expected," Liara said. "You've proven that humans belong among the stars, not just as explorers, but as guardians, partners, and friends. Xiferra is better because of you." Ethan smiled, feeling a sense of belonging he had never known. "I didn't do it alone. Humans, Xiferans, everyone. But I understand now why I'm here, and I know that together, we can face anything." Liara's eyes shone. "Yes, and the universe is waiting. There are worlds to explore, challenges to overcome, and discoveries to make. Together, we will shape a new era, one where courage, intelligence, and heart guide us, no matter the stars we travel under." Ethan looked up at the sky, feeling the resonance within him hum gently, steady, and strong. For the first time, he realized that being human was not a limitation, it was a gift. And in this moment, he knew that humanity's place in the universe was not only possible, but extraordinary. As the twin moons reflected off the crystal trees, Ethan and Liara stood together, ready to face the future. The frozen glance that had started it all had led to this moment. A moment of unity, understanding, and hope. For humans and Xiferans alike, a new era had begun. And with courage, heart, and intelligence, there was no limit to what they could achieve together.